is Justin Jones Fosu. I am your host of the 7 mini episode Everyday Diversity series. We're moving from initiative to everyday life. And I'm super excited and pumped to share episode 7, the final in the episodes. And episode 7 is all about the moving walkway, allyship, and how to be an anti-racist. So as we dive into this is we're going to go a little deep, and I think it's helpful as we consider some of the things that are happening in our society about how we can actually begin our process of allyship as well as diving deeper into being an anti-racist. Special shout out to Dr. Ibram Kendi, who wrote the book How to Be an Anti-Racist, as well as Dr. Beverly Tatum, who initially heard the moving walkway analogy from, at least given to her in terms of the sense of she's the one who shared it. I made some adjustments to it to talk about kind of anti-racism and how we can use it, but the initial idea did come from Dr. Beverly Tatum, who's a former president of Spelman College. So let's dive into the moving walkway, and then we'll get into how it all applies. So first, have you ever had the privilege of being on a moving walkway? Like, this is normally what it looks like, right? And as we think through the moving walkway and how people fully engage, it's like, normally people walk this way, and then more people walk this way. The way that Dr. Beverly Tatum talked about it is that normally you have a certain group of people, specifically in our nation, white people, who are on the moving walkway, right? And other people who are not on the moving walkway. So they're probably over here. And generally, that these people are being moved forward by the systems and things that have been in place because of the history of our nation, because of things from the criminal justice system to redlining to a host of other systemic issues that have caused systems and policies built into the fabric of our nation to cause the moving walkway. And so you have different groups of people as they engage this moving walkway. Now, normally, the moving walkway gives you a little bit of help, right? Now, as a person who flies quite a bit, one of the things is that, I'm sometimes in a rush and I'm going really fast and moving walkway, and it just helps you just a little bit more. But sometimes I stop and just sit back and enjoy, right, the scenery and the stuff that's happening. But even when I stop, I'm still being moved forward. And that's what we often see is you'll see the different types of people, the 4 different types of people that I'm getting ready to share with you, that there's some people who literally will stop because they see the injustices and the challenges that are happening, and they'll still be being moved forward by the systems, by the policies, or rather from a macro level, from just the country, or from a company level, the micro level, the organization policies, hiring, recruiting, etc. So how do we do it? What do we begin to do? And again, in a micro learning component, I'm not able to dive as deep as I want to, but shoot me an email, justin@workmeaningful.com, if you have questions or want other resources to dive deeper. I'll try to provide some other resources at the end as well. So there are 4 different types of people on the walkway. And there's one type of person, it's the racist. And the racist is the person who is guarding the walkway. And they don't want anyone who does not look like them, right? They have the power, the structure to get on the walkway that doesn't look like them to get on the walkway. These are the blockers. They're stopping, and they just don't like people because they're black. They don't like people because they're Asian. They don't like people because they're whatever. Like, they don't like people, and they're going to block those people from getting on the walkway. Now, it's normally, you can pretty much tell by rhetoric and things that people say who racists are, even though there's been some disagreements lately. But these are people who just are saying, you know what, because you are this race, you are inferior to me, right? Those are the blockers, the racists, blocking the walkway. Then you have the next group of people who are the unconscious non-racists, right? The unconscious non-racists are those kind of people that, they realize that there's a walkway, right? And they're wondering why everybody else isn't walking. It happens for me, right? When I'm getting ready to get on a plane, and you see people stopping, and sometimes they're stopping and blocking a whole walkway. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, keep going, right? And so these are people that are like, there's a walkway here. It's helping us move further along, right? And they're not the people who are blocking others. They're like, shoot, if everybody can get on, right? But they're also still going. utilizing the systems, the policies, the procedures, all these things to consistently go and move forward. And they're walking along, wondering why everybody else isn't getting on, realizing that there's not only people racist, but there's actually other systems that are blocking other people from getting on the walkway. The unconscious non-racist. The next group of people that you have is the conscious non-racist. These are people that their eyes have finally been opened to all the things that are going on, and they see the injustices, the challenges. They've seen the peer-reviewed scientific research that talks through all the issues and things that are happening currently, and they see all these things, and they're like, you know what? I think it's unfair. They stop, but they're still being moved forward on the moving walkway. These are the kind of people. They say it's not fair, but they haven't done anything yet that's cost them something. They haven't done anything yet where it showed them to truly be an ally. They haven't done anything yet that makes people look at them weird. So I love, what Dr. Ibram Kendi talks about when he talks about being anti-racist. He says the opposite of being a racist isn't being a non-racist. It's being an anti-racist. An anti-racist. So imagine, same moving walkway. Imagine somebody going the exact opposite way of the way the moving walkway is going. And they're going off, and I want you to see these two different ways. They're going off, and they're bringing in the people that don't look like them, that are different races, and they're bringing them onto the walkway. And then some are even saying, how do we destroy the walkway? Period. How do we get rid of the racist policies? How do we get rid of the injustice things that are happening? Injustices. How do we challenge the water source from which is polluting the lake from which we're grabbing the water? What do we do? And these people are asking the hard questions. They're asking about the policies in their organization. They're asking about the recruitment initiatives. They're asking about what are some things that we're doing to address bias within the organizations. They're asking from a legal perspective in our country, city, state, local. They're asking what are things done around criminal justice and criminal justice reform? What are we doing around from the prison pipeline? All of these things, they're starting to ask questions that are informing them. And my friends, the true anti-racist, the one who's willing to say, hey, you know what, I see something wrong, and I'm not just going to allow it to happen, and they start going the opposite way, these are the beginnings of allyship, right? Shout out to Raven Solomon, who a good friend who shared something about beginner allies, and I think there's always an opportunity for us to come into allyship. So there's a couple of things that I want to give you on how to be an ally. What does allyship really look like? It's where you really have engrossed yourself into that area, right? You don't become an ally because you made the decision. That group identifies you as an ally, and you first must listen. You must hear the voices. Whether that's directly through podcasts, through movies, through having conversations with people, you first must listen because you have to understand what are the issues that are happening. The second is that you must learn. And it may be like the books and other pieces. It may be workshops and, like the Racial Institute for Juvenile Justice that has a great understanding and historical data that shows so many things and facts and research across our nation about birth rates, death rates for black women who have PhD versus white women who just have a GED or high school diploma. I mean, and they have the black women who have PhDs have higher death rates in giving birth. All of these things that you engage and learn about what's happening for that group. Right? But then we have to stand up and act. We have to ask from a political perspective, from a policy perspective in our organizations, from a community perspective. An ally that when it doesn't necessarily directly impact them, they'll get up and stand up for the needs of others because they realize how important it is. They stand up when it doesn't appear that the other person has the opportunity to be able to stand up. And last but not least is it must repeat. Must repeat. Not only must you listen, you learn and act, but it must repeat. True allies they can't leave, right? Because the people that are in the situation or are facing injustices can't leave. True allies are in it even when they make mistakes, even when they mess up, even when all these things happen. And so how do you act? What can you do? Now, this is quite a bit, but I encourage you to ask and listen and identify areas that people may be underrepresented in your organization, and you ask the questions, how can I best understand? Use the 3x3x3x3 model, where I want you to think about and ask, what are 3 books that I can read on this topic? What are 3 podcast episodes, 3 articles, and potentially even 3 movies that can better inform me about this area? And encourage you to ask a friend or ask somebody who can be able to shape and help you as you learn. Be an advocate and ultimately realize you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. As I learn different things about groups that are different than I am, that are underrepresented, areas that I have luxury. But I encourage you to do one of 2 things. Bring other people on the moving walkway with you. And at some point, start figuring out ways to dismantle the walkway altogether. I'm Justin Jones-Fosu. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love to stay connected with you. Even if you disagree with something I share, I often love those because it helps me to refine and dive deeper into my content. Justin at workmeaningful.com. I'm at iWorkMeaningful at all these wonderful places. Check out the website, workmeaningful.com, where you can see content and other things and how I engage virtually and in person audiences. If you know of an organization that would love to go through my 4 stages of everyday diversity to really move the needle in their organization around diversity and inclusion, give us a holler, contact us, and let us know how we can best serve. If there's anything else I can do for you, please let me know. But thank you for tuning in. Please share this 7-mini episode Everyday Diversity series with someone you think can benefit from it. Let me know which was your favorite episode, and I love to stay connected with you. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay focused, stay learning, stay acting, moving from diversity as initiative to diversity as everyday way of life. I'm Justin Jones-Fosu. Until next time, bye-bye.